Hey guys, so don't mind the chaos in the background. Yeah, I need to clean my room. But so I did get hired on with an airline to be a flight attendant. I'm so excited. My journey to get to this point has just been kind of crazy but everything's really worked out for the best. I'm so excited about it. So I just kind of wanted to share with you the steps that it took me to get to this point and what I've done and kind of like the interview process. I'm not yet going to reveal what airline I'm going to be working for just because I haven't past training yet. So I just kind of want to wait and make sure that I go ahead and pass training before you guys find out which airline, because I don't know, that'd be so embarrassing. But anyway, let's get right into it. Anyway, so I applied for multiple airlines and I heard back from a few of them. Some of them I didn't make the cut, some of them I still have not heard back from. So I put myself on a wait list for the particular airline that I got hired on with. And then on that wait list, they were going to email you when the application reopened. So they emailed me and then they're like, okay, you have 5 days to apply. Get your application in and apply for our airline. Otherwise, the application is going to close and we're going to be going through a hiring freeze. So this was back in December. I got the email. I applied that night right away. It was just a full application, and then it was like a questionnaire, and it was just kind of you had to answer different situational questions that they had, like about customer service, about how you would work with coworkers, if you work better independently, and just different questions like that. So after the questionnaire and the application was submitted, they pretty much looked that over for a day or two, and then I was invited to do a video interview. So the video interview, it was through an app, and it was basically just 5 or 6 questions, and there was no person on the other end of the app. It was you answering the questions that were given to you. It would be question number 1, tell us about a time where you provided excellent customer service, and then you had about 30 seconds to think about it, and then 2 minutes to answer it, and then you record yourself answering it, and then it would immediately go into the next question. So I basically just scanned Glassdoor and the internet and just saw what kind of questions other people had from this interview process and what they had said, and just so I could get an idea of what questions to expect during the interview process. So after the video interview, I received a phone interview, and the phone interview was not really an interview. It was just kind of do you have any tattoos? Do you have any piercings other than your ears? Do you know that you have to fly yourself to the interview and you have to pay for lodging at the interview and different things like that? So it was basically just, this is what is going to happen if you want to come to the in-person interview, and this is what you need to do and what you have to pay for. And I told them I do have a tattoo on my ankle. It is small and brown. It can be covered with hose, and it can be covered up if I wore boots per se. It won't be covered with heels. So I did tell them about my tattoo, and I was honest up front just because I didn't want them to pick me and then find out about later, and then them come back and say I lacked integrity or I lied about something. So I told them up front about my tattoo. I know other people have not done that, and they ended up getting cut mid-training or not making it past the interview that was in person. So I just want to be upfront. So she told me, she was like, okay, you need to send me a picture of your tattoo, and we're gonna get it approved. So I sent her a picture. It took about a week, a little bit over a week, for her to get back to me. I had emailed her back after a week, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And then she got back to me about 2 days after I'd emailed her, and then she was like, yeah, your tattoo's been approved, it's fine. Here is the date for the in-person interview, which was about 2.5 weeks away from that point. And she was like, okay, here's the interview date. This is the last interview that we're having, and then we're not having any more for however long. And if you can make it, let me know. It's at this time, at this place, on this date in San Francisco, California. And I said, yes, absolutely, I'm coming. That is definitely happening. I'll be there. So after that, by the way, when I applied for this airline, I did the paper application online in December. They got back to me right away for the video interview. It took about 5 days to get back to me. I did the video interview, and then it took about a few weeks. It was definitely after the holidays were over. We were definitely entering like the end of January by the time I got to do the phone interview. And then she took a little bit to get back to me, and so then we were already at the beginning of February when the recruiter was getting back with me about coming for an in-person interview. So I flew out to California the end of February. It was like middle to end of February, so it took like 2-ish months for the whole process to be complete. And then I flew out there, and luckily for me, I have a friend that works for this airline, and she had a buddy pass, and she has multiple buddy passes. Her airline gives her like about 15 or 20 buddy passes a year, and that's good for a one-way flight. So I used 2 of her buddy passes, and I did a one-way flight, and I had to pay $40 per one way, but I was flying standby. So even though you are paying for the buddy pass, you're still flying standby, so you're still risking not getting on the plane at all. But it was fine. Like, she checked it way in advance for me, and then we were still checking it like right up until I was leaving, and there was plenty of seats each time. So it was all good, all worked out. I got there, I got back. It was cool. I got to ride first class on my way there, and then I was like in premium economy on my way back. So that was awesome. Love me some free drinks. But went out there, did the interview. I stayed the night at a hostel because I'm cheap like that. And then I went to the interview the next day. It was an all-day process. We had to be there at about 8:15 a.m. and it started at 8:30, so I got there at about 7:50, 8 o'clock, and I was staying downtown San Francisco, and so I had to get an Uber back to near the airport because it was at a hotel near the airport for the interview. And it was an all-day thing. I don't think I left until about 3 p.m., somewhere around like 3:30 p.m. It was an all-day process. We had a group interview and an individual interview, and they were at certain times. And then we had different tables we were sitting at with whoever we wanted to sit with, and we were just mingling with everyone. And then we were, from those tables, they had separated us into the corners of the room, and we had to kind of work together to figure out different problems, or just kind of talk amongst ourselves and figure out what we had in common. And so they would have different people, both recruiters for the airline and flight attendants that work for the airline, like walking around and kind of judging us. We had a name tag on. I believe we had a number also, and we had our times for our interviews on our name tag. And I had to bring a copy of my passport, copy of my driver's license, social security card, and I brought a resume just in case. And it was just a really long day. I couldn't even tell you what was even said in the group interview. I know that all of us got a question, and then we couldn't look at it until it was our turn. And then we had to answer that question. It was like customer service based. So I'm not going to say exactly what my question is, just because I don't even hardly remember it. That day was such a blur. And then my individual interview went well. She had asked me again about my tattoo, and I did tell her I had one, but I also did tell her that it was approved by the recruiter that I had been emailing with. So she had already cleared it with the airline, and it was fine. She's like, okay, cool, whatever, we don't need to discuss it. And it went pretty smoothly. So there was about 50 of us there, and we were dwindling down towards the end of the day. They were finishing up the group interviews and the individual interviews, and this is like, we haven't ate all day. I'm like feeling delirious. They had some baked goods and they had like coffee, tea, water, but it wasn't like a real meal. I was dwindling, let me tell you. So it was the end of the day, and then they're like, okay, we're going to start pulling people out, and we're going to be telling them yes or no. Either way, bring all your things. You're not coming back to this room. You're not going to see anyone here again. And we're like, oh my gosh, okay. So we're all sitting there, and I'm sitting and I'm waiting at my table, and the people I'm making friends with, we're sitting, we're waiting, and we're just like, oh my gosh, it's never going to end. They keep pulling people out left and right. They're never returning, so we don't know if they've told them yes or no. So if they've told them no, then they just leave the hotel, and that's it. If they told them yes, then they were to go upstairs, and they were going to start the background check process. So we're just like, wow. There's like about maybe 9 of us left in the room, and we start at 50, and there's about 9 of us left, and they've already pulled a few people out. And one girl was like, I'm texting this one guy, and they told him yes, and he's getting his background check right now. And they made friends in the interview process. They were sitting at the same table, and they got each other's numbers right away. So she's texting him, and he was like, oh, they're only going to pick 5 more of you, and there was 9 of us left. And so we're all like, oh my God, we're freaking out. It was so nice to meet all of you. Like, good luck. Have like fun, whoever gets it. So then we're just like sitting there, like I'm pretty much, I'm like, I'm going home. I'm absolutely going home. There's no way they're keeping me. Like, I don't even remember what I said in my group interview. I was so delusional. I have no idea. So then this one lady comes in, and she's like, okay, we're going to take like a quick lunch break. You guys can like leave or do whatever, but we'll be back in like 30 minutes. We're like, oh my God, there's 9 of us left. Like, just tell us. So we're just like, we're not leaving. We're just going to sit right here. We're just going to eat these baked good snacks if we're hungry, drink this water. And then, of course, if you were told yes, you had to go upstairs for a background check, and you had to do a drug test. And so they needed like a urine sample, and so none of us wanted to go to the bathroom just in case, because we had to go upstairs and do like a urine sample for the drug test, and so no one wanted to go to the bathroom. And then finally, they opened the doors back up, and all of the interviewers, all the recruiters, all of the HR department, all of the flight attendants, about 25 of them that were there for the interview, they all come in. And we're all just like, oh my God, what's happening? So, and then the head flight attendant, he starts talking, and he's like, guys, you all did amazing. We're so sad we can't take everyone. Like, everyone's been great. He's like pretty much letting us down easy. And then all of a sudden he's like, but we loved all of you, and we want all of you to be a part of this company. And we all just start freaking out. We're just like, oh my God. I was like, are you serious? Are you really serious? We're all just like in shock. They pass out our contracts. They ship us upstairs to do the background check. The background check and the drug test for the fingerprinting, it takes about another like 2.5 hours. And it just didn't feel real. Nothing was real. But at the end of the day, it was the best thing that could have ever happened. I just like knew, I like felt in my heart that this was right and this was supposed to